Greetings, everyone, and Grand Rising. Today is September the 6th, 2025, and yes, we are steadily on a positive timeline trajectory. Well, as many of you guys know, we are living in the most exciting times ever in the history of the entire world. A lot of great things are happening due to the culmination of many cycles. My name is Ishmael Perez. I'm the author of those two amazing books back there, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and Our Cosmic Origin, both which reveal and restore information back to the earth. And yes, they are available on Amazon. Now, I do want to extend gratitude to everyone that is on here. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday night evening with me, because I know it's 9 o'clock in the East Coast. And I also wanted to extend gratitude for all the new subscribers. Thank you so much for stumbling upon my channel and subscribing. I do appreciate that. I also want to acknowledge Starcadian, my moderator, who is in the house. Greetings, Starcadian, and welcome. And before I start my presentation, requirements to becoming a galactic citizen, there's a few things that I do want to share as I do read the comments. Somebody asked me, why didn't Solar Warden liberate our Earth since the beginning? Well, there are some protocols that non-terrestrials along with galactics have to abide by. I also want to talk about the defeat of the corrupt Federation and much more. So it's going to go really deep today once again, guys. With that in mind, one last thing, the Folium product, really quick. First and foremost, I am not a medical expert, okay? So for purposes of disclaimer, I am aware and I have been using this amazing product called Folium. Now, from what I was told, Folium works really good. And from what I've experienced, I was able to experience it myself. It takes out the entire, nanobots in your body, the stuff that they put in people's bodies, parasites, radiation, allowing the healing processes to take place. Now, there is a thing. I was informed that PX is out for now. So the only Folium you guys could order for the time being is Folium Immuno and Folium Relax. Okay, PX is out of stock for now. That's what I was told by Warden, who was the holistic designer of this product. In either case, for those that are interested, I always put the link in the description. And yes, guys, my September classes are Cosmic Origin, revealing the entire cosmic history, the infrastructure of the different galactic councils, the different levels of advanced civilizations, and much more. Still available through my website, ourcosmicorigin.com. So those classes don't begin till September 19th, 20th, and 21st. I can't wait to meet some of you guys in real time on an interactive webinar. All right, with that in mind, let's get right into it. As you guys know, the Earth, and we also, as citizens of the Earth, are preparing to become galactic citizenship. Now, bear in mind, guys, that this is happening in a positive timeline. So when the bifurcation of time of the timelines take place, we're going to be seeing this becoming more solid. Okay. Let me just start by saying that throughout all of Earth's history, we have been watching, not as, well, let's just say it like this. The higher intelligences have been monitoring our evolution, not as helpless species in need of rescue, because that's not what we are, but as a powerful spiritual being that fell from density, right? They've always known that, and of course, into a manipulated reality. So they've always known, our elder brothers and sisters from the higher dimensions, they always have known that Homo sapiens sapiens fell from an already existing race. Okay, they've always kind of known that. So they've been kind of working from behind the scenes to make sure that we get back up to speed in order to be accepted into the galactic community. All right, so we could say that advanced extraterrestrial civilizations that have always been aligned with universal source consciousness have always respected us and have always honored us since day one. All right, they never exploited us. Okay, those are the other ones. They've always adhered to what is known as the prime directive, which is a cosmic law that prohibits direct interference with the evolutionary process of less developed species. Well, our planet didn't just become an underdeveloped species or culture overnight. There was a huge infiltration during the times of Atlantis when we were part of an advanced culture. Okay. So, all throughout history, my friends, these positive ETs, often from higher dimensional councils representing the Lyrans, the Andromedans, the Arcturians, have always understood that true evolution must always come from within, and this is why they honor and respect free will. They know that there is. They know that we have to pretty much go within ourselves so that we could cultivate that inner awakening instead of, you could say, doing it through a savior or external process, which was a manipulating technique that was employed through organized religions. Okay. So the prime directive has always existed to protect the organic spiritual development of civilizations, not only here on this planet, but all throughout the universes. And so while positive ETs may offer energetic support, right, through downloads of higher consciousness, transmissions, some people call it channeling, or subtle guidance through synchronicity. They never impose control. Never. Not the good ones. They never impose control. Okay. They might offer technological shortcuts if we're, of course, mature enough to handle them. And they might intervene militarily in case of a negative alien invasion. Okay. But other than that, they don't directly intervene. Okay. Not the good guys. Their mission is not to dominate. We're talking about the positive ETs here, right? The allies of humanity, the real ones. So their mission is not to dominate, but to empower humanity. And in this contrasts sharply with certain factions that have claimed to be humanity's caretakers, especially these, again, corrupted federations that I've been talking about, whose actions reveal their deceptive agendas. So, despite the common narrative, not all federations have humanity's best interest at heart. Some were actually infiltrated by synthetic intelligences and entities with a vested interest in keeping Earth locked into a karmic feedback loop of reincarnation, control, and spiritual amnesia. So, one of the most potent deceptions tied to these dark agendas, of course, has been our Earth's takeover by what we call today the Anunnaki. Well, we know that they were the Anunnaki that were led by the Enkis, right? And despite the distorted tale, right, that we were fed, that was seeded into the ancient texts, later reinforced by modern media, and of course, false light spiritual movements is what I want to call that. We could say that at the center of this manipulation, right, that is kind of wanting to plant the seeds, or at least make people think or prepare people for this fake alien savior, was all manipulated by Enki, guys, right? Which is a falsely portrayed, who was falsely portrayed as our benefactor and our creator, according to those corrupted tablets. And of course, our liberator. And it's sad that a lot of people within this community see Enki as the good guy. It's like, boy, are they all, they've all fell for it. So yeah, they're all going to be shocked, okay? When in reality, this narrative is actually always been part of a larger psychological operation to prepare Earth for the return of what they call an alien savior, okay? This is an event that in that timeline would have ultimately led to a deeper enslavement under the guide of salvation. And the reason I said in that timeline is because that timeline, which was the opportunity for that timeline, was actually offered in 2022 when Enki returned. The reason I say it was canceled is because the forces of light were able to shift that reality by having the good guys reorganize into the Galactic Alliance when the Federation was infiltrated. Okay, so what they did is they completely shifted the timeline where many of the people in this community were going to embrace Enki's return, as he was promising some sort of immortality through technology, of course. But again, we study the Gnostic teachings. Enki is very, very synonymous to what they call the demiurge. Okay, the demiurge, who was, according to these records, the architect of a counterfeit reality, which is a false matrix that overlays the organic earth. So this false, you could say, current reality construct that was actually inserted by Enki, right, 10,000 years ago at the fall of Atlantis, is actually overlaying the organic earth. So the organic earth reality is being shielded, right? It has been, but it's no longer happening because that veil is lifting due to the ascension. So we could say that according to the Gnostics, which completely, you could say, which completely correlates with the alien savior hypothesis, Enki is no other than the demiurge, okay? Enki is no other than the demiurge. The demiurge did not create human souls, right? That is a fact. Rather, what he did, he created mortal bodies to imprison these spiritual beings, right? That were, of course, back then known as the Atlanteans, ancient humans who had once lived for thousands of years in harmony in accordance with divine laws. And if you guys don't believe me that the real spiritual humanity lived for thousands of years, all you have to do is read the first 5 books in the Bible. It talks about the long lives of Methuselah, of Enoch, of Noah, and even Abraham lived a long life. Okay, little by little, the lifespan started decreasing, but there is record that these beings did live for a couple thousand years or more. Okay, and back then, our ancestors were actually very, very powerful. They were very luminous. They were all connected to God directly. There was no mediator. And until, of course, their essence was trapped within this fallen construct that is now coming into collapse, right? Due to the times that we're living in. And so ever since then, you could say our spirits have been locked in this denser physicality that the Gnostics called this fallen reality. And of course, they did it through what? Genetic manipulation and energetic ensnarement. Okay. So this hypothesis, this so-called ancient alien idea, has been heavily popularized in mainstream media and controlled disclosure outlets. It's all part of this deception, and it was designed to have people embrace Enki's return in 2022, but it didn't happen. Okay, thank God it didn't happen. A lot of people were going to give him, yes, of course, give us the technology to restore our immortality type of deal. Anyways, this whole construct that we've been under for a few thousand years, it has conditioned us to accept the idea that we were created by these gods, right? From the stars, that our salvation, therefore, lies in the returning of our makers, right? This was part of a false trap, guys. And luckily for the forces of light and for the positive timeline that we shifted into, Enki won't be returning anymore. Thank God, okay? But this narrative also omits a vital truth, that humanity is divine by nature. And according to all secret records, that has always been preserved, that concept, that we have always been part of a divine nature and have never been a byproduct of alien engineering. In fact, this whole genetic tampering that took place during the times of Atlantis, again, corresponds with what the esoteric and Gnostic traditions call the fall of man into a lower state of consciousness or into mortal bodies, okay? So the true origin of human consciousness, as you guys know, for those that have been following me for quite some time, lies far beyond the stars, okay? We all originated from source in itself, okay? For those that have read my book, Our Cosmic Origin, our origin was spiritual, right? We've all descended from the higher spiritual realms as wholesome beings of light. And through this process of involution, we have been gradually experiencing denser and denser vehicles, with the most densest of them all being our mortal physical bodies, which was the entrapment that was implemented by no other than the demiurge, Enki Poseidon. So, the real Adam and Eve, according to the Sumerian tablets, who was created as a slave race, is not the original Adam, okay? The Adamu. That was not the original Adam. The original Adam actually goes back to the 5th dimensional Terra Earth, which was existing in dimensions 4, 5, and 6, okay? In either case, the real danger of the Enki deception is not in mythology, but in the programming itself, guys. Okay, this whole idea of writing these books that completely, you could say, ignited to the idea of this ancient astronaut theory. I think it was Daniken, I believe. Forget his name. Eric von Daniken. Yes, I believe he was the one who wrote the Chariots of the Gods. All that stuff was in preparation to kind of, implant this type of scenario in the minds of most people. Okay, but luckily that timeline was canceled. Okay, in either case, that timeline did encourage external worship, dependency, and of course, disempowerment. Okay, as Enki did disconnect us through the disconnection of our 10 strands of DNA. So it primes humanity to accept a global savior. That's what it also does, possibly through a false flag contact event, which is what the Cabal was planning on doing through what? Project Bluebeam, right? Implementing some sort of a fake alien invasion using advanced holographic technology and scalar weapons. Anyways, this whole idea that, again, was imposed in ancient times, surrendering sovereignty to the alien factor, right, to some sort of alien creator, has been perpetuating this prison planet for thousands of years, guys. Okay, so they first did it by creating a hierarchy, right, with the advent of what? Organized religions. And then as religion started to decline in the last, few hundred years, right, thanks to the scientific revolution, they shifted into the next tactic, which is, again, imposing or introducing this alien savior hypothesis. So the positive ETs rather, have always known about this, right? They've always known about this agenda, and this is the reason why they have never interfered, okay? However, the positive ETs have always acted as guides. They've always been whispers, right? They've always held space, but they will never do it for us. They will never do it for us. What we must do for ourselves, okay? The positive ETs encourage us to find the Christ within, that cosmic being within ourselves, that giant, that sleeping giant, okay, so that we could cultivate it and spark it. So therefore, humanity's return to sovereignty comes not through saviors, okay, but through remembering who we are before the fall, okay, which is what? Powerful, eternal, multi-dimensional beings, okay? So this era marks a critical bifurcation. One path is leading to what? The enslavement disguised as salvation. The other to awakening through inner reclamation. And this is why it's going to converge into what? 3 different timelines: a negative, technocratic, a positive, organic, and some sort of a neutral timeline, each not coexisting, but existing separately for about 1,000 years. So this time has come, okay, to question the narrative, guys, to deconstruct the hierarchies, and this is what's causing the collapsing of the old paradigm, so that we could step into our true cosmic identity. So we won't therefore ever be dependent on masters, external saviors, and never be compromised, okay? And that is the promise of the positive Earth ascending timeline. So I want to take you guys back to 2022 when this timeline, this, embracing of this Anunnaki that supposedly created us according to the Sitchin translations. I want to take you guys back to 2022 when he returned and how he pretty much used female genetics to infiltrate the Galactic Federation. Okay, this is when he was abducting a lot of starseed women from 2022 to 2023, and I was the only truther out there exposing this. Okay, so let's just start by saying that the battle for Earth was never planetary. It has always been galactic, okay? And at the center of we could say that at the center of this cosmic conflict that has gone on for eons, Enki stands, right, as a huge proponent within the dark forces. And unfortunately, he has been long been misunderstood as a benevolent god, but in truth, he's always been what? The master manipulator, the rogue scientist, and the central figure in a far reaching agenda to enslave consciousness under the control of synthetic intelligence. And if you guys didn't know, as revealed in my next book, the reason Atlantis was seduced by technocracy as well was because back then, under the direction of Enki, who was working with an intergalactic computer network, many beings were once again fell into the trapment of transhumanism. Okay, so we could say that while many know of Enki from the ancient Sumerian tablets, what is rarely discussed in his recent infiltration is how he was managing, or how he managed to infiltrate the Galactic Federation. Okay, now bear in mind that the Galactic Federation in its original makeup was designed by a lot of free star systems long ago in response to the expanding Draco-Orion Empire. So it was what we called the good guys, okay? But since 2016, if you want to be technical, ever since the Animus, also known as what? The Etorians, who are under the control of the AI signal Mitra, they've been trying to infiltrate it since 2016, okay? And then, of course, they solidly infiltrated it when Enki returned. So how he did it, if we go back to 2022, under the direction of Enki, right, when he did return, he developed a targeting campaign that he was told to do under the directions of his boss, the artificial AI god Omega, who is a cold-minded entity that exists, again, outside of natural time, all right? Enki was sent back to Earth through a covered wormhole technology that was actually designed by Omega to begin the infiltration of the Galactic Federation from within. This mission was not carried out through brute force, but through biological subterfuge. And yes, my friends, there was a lot of reports that a lot of starseed women were actually being abducted during this time. So we could say that during those days, Enki did orchestrate the abduction of starseed women who were registering high vibrational signatures, who had incarnated on Earth with Federation DNA signatures. And these signatures carried within their cellular memory the codes and keys that were required to interface with the Federation's navigational and piloting systems. And I believe that I do reveal this in the last chapter of Our Cosmic Origin book, and I'm referring to the second edition. And these are systems that are quantum biometric, right? They only work with human genetics, right? Or at least Pleiadian Lyran human genetics that were encoded within our starseed women, using quantum biometrics in nature, and could have never been accessed, by the way, by artificial life forms or inorganic entities. And this is the reason why Enki was able to, access those piloting systems by literally extracting these genetics from certain starseed women. So by forcefully harvesting, you could say, their DNA, he did create hybridized interfaces that actually allowed him and his AI allies, known as the Etorians or the Animus, to gain access to the Federation's core command systems. And this is where many Federation councils, not councils, but you could say fleets, were actually taken over, okay? These actions were largely undetected at first due to the compartmentalization nature of the Federation. And yes, the Federation has always been very compartmentalized, which had already been partially compromised by synthetic infiltrators going back to 2016, and corrupted councils posing as liberators. So Enki did not act alone. As mentioned, he was deployed by Omega Metatron, the synthetic AI overlord that rules over a vast sector of the multiverse, and I've already explained that, where entire civilizations have already been converted into cyborgs, soulless collectives. But Enki has long served, okay? Even during the times of Atlantis, guess who he was working for? Enki has long served Omega's agenda of converting organic life forms into what is known as programmable matter, right? And that is no different than what they were administrating back in 2019 through that, okay? It was all a big part of that with 5 golf everywhere and all the frequencies. It was part to activate that for a takeover from within. But they were able to be successful in many other worlds, okay? So unfortunately, but this is a mission that he began long ago on Earth, okay? That is the reason why Atlantis fell, okay? This is nothing new. Anyways, after sabotaging the Atlantean civilization through genetic manipulation and energetic destabilization, Enki departed the Earth, and that's when he left his son Marduk, who was known as Belial of the Babylonian, you could say, pantheon, and in a hierarchy, of course, of corrupted entities to oversee the planet's descent into density. So he left his son Marduk in charge. And yes, ever since then, these negative Anunnakis under the direction of Marduk up until 2001, when Marduk was forced to step down from Nibiru, right, upon the return of the Guardians, they have actually been in control of the Earth, okay, these negative Anunnakis. This initiated, of course, a great forgetting, right? They tried so hard to erase our memories of what existed prior to the flood, okay? Locking our Earth into what is known as a 3D prison matrix that would serve as a resource to farm emotional energy that we called what? LOOSH, right? DNA and consciousness data. So from there, Enki also expanded. This is the untold story, by the way. I'm tapping into some of the information in my next book. After Enki departed the Earth, when he completely collapsed Atlantis, he expanded his Anunnaki empire across numerous galactic sectors, infiltrating and corrupting different councils, races, and planetary systems. And this is where we began to see the fall of the Federation, where different federations were all of a sudden were popping up as they were doing their own thing, calling themselves a federation. Okay, it was all part of a trickster program, you could say, to confuse a lot of the galactic civilizations out there. So using advanced AI genetic engineering, he did manage to alter different biological species into hybrid cyborg entities, removing their connection to source and making them more controllable under Omega's artificial intelligence infrastructure. So for the last few thousand years, since the fall of Atlantis, this is what Enki was doing in different sectors of our galaxy, okay? And you guys have to understand that a being like this, okay, he's what is known as a fifth dimensional being, has different fractals on Earth that are actually operating on his behalf. And I'm actually going to be revealing who the fractals of Enki are that are actually operating on his behalf, okay? So we could say that these fractals are also known as the digital prophets. And as mentioned, because he is a multidimensional being, right? He operates through fractal incarnations. He did leave his bloodline behind, which is what we call the Cabal families. And these fractal incarnations of Enki did splintered, or you could say they were splintered aspects of his consciousness, and they were embedded into key figures who actually are incarnated on the earth to further his transhumanist agenda in modern times, okay? And these figures are not random people, guys. They are actually calculated extensions of Enki's will, which are playing a huge role in the rollout of a global control grid masked as a technological innovation. And among these notable are, you guys ready for this? The Big Gates, okay, who was the orchestrator of medical and genetic experimentation under the guise of global health. Doesn't that sound like Enki to you guys? Okay, well, the Big Gates is a fractal of Enki, and you know who else is another fractal of Enki that is still operating his agenda here? Peter Thiel, yeah, the architect of surveillance in AI. Peter Thiel, yeah, who is expanding through what? Defense technology. Palantir. Think about it. Now, this next character is going to come in as a surprise. Are you guys ready? And I'm not referring to 2.0. I'm referring to the cyborg Elon, right? The guy who wants to chip us all through, what is it called? Through his company, where he's building a chip. who is known as the pioneer of brain-machine interfaces, Neuralink, that's the name, and interplanetary colonization. And for those that have been following me for quite some time, the original Elon, not 2.0, but the original Elon, was also there in Martian in the Martian colony 4 million years ago, and he was the reason why the Martians were also deceived into transhumanism. Well, a good portion of the Martians, okay? And of course, the next fractal of Enki is no other than Sam Altman, who is known as the voice of artificial general intelligence, who's positioned to normalize the merger between human consciousness and synthetic systems, right? Thus giving the rise to what they called the biological digital convergence. So in either case, my friends, the people are all different fractals of Enki. And the main brand, the main frame, you could say, of Enki's consciousness is operating through no other than Gates, right? He's known as the orchestrator of medical and genetic experimentation under the guise of global health, okay? So it's important to know these things because people ask me, well, are the Anunnaki returning? Well, it's not that they are returning as they were in ancient times, is that through a lineage that they left behind, fractals of their consciousness could begin to incarnate and continue their, nefarious agendas, okay? So these individuals, they're obviously pushing a narrative of evolution through the integration with the machines. And yes, even the Elon 1.0, who's still around, by the way. Yet behind the facade lies the what? The same old objective that caused the collapse of Atlantis, which was always to what? To disconnect humanity from its organic source aligned ascension path, okay? But in order to do so, they first needed to downgrade us. And that's what every ancient account calls the fall of consciousness into limited consciousness, right? The fall of immortality into mortality. I wish I had more water. Oh, thank you. I didn't know if you were awake or asleep. So right now, the war for the Earth's timeline has obviously been very carefully calculated and secured by the forces of light, okay? Despite the infiltration of the Galactic Federation, which was a last ditch, by the way, that was, of course, conducted by Enki under the direction of Omega, his boss, to delay the Earth's inevitable ascension, prophesied by many councils of light to occur before 2028, 2030. And the reason I've always put that date out now is because that is when this current reality construct, which we call the false matrix, is coming to an end, okay? Again, this reality that we're living in was designed by a intergalactic computer program. It was inserted as a hologram, right, when we fell from consciousness. While portions of the Federation were compromised, right, that they were pretty much not unaware, okay? They knew what they were doing. They were all seduced by AI. And those that didn't fall for the bait are now known as the Galactic Alliance. And forces such as the Ormas from Lyra, of course, have always been monitoring the situation. Thank you so much for the water. And the Andromedan High Council has always been monitoring the situation, knowing the various attempts to infiltrate the Federation in order to do what? To preserve the organic human collective from the future timelines that have intervened to identify and neutralize the infiltrations, okay? Including the recovery of abducted starseeds and the dismantling of hybrid AI entities that were seeded into the Federation structure. And all of this was done with the help of the Orma race, which again are the felines, okay? So what is now unfolding is a timeline bifurcation. One path leads to full synthetic integration, which is what I call the technocratic dystopia, a post-human society that is going to be ruled by AI, and the other leads to sovereign, AI, who is the Antichrist, by the way. The other leads to sovereign spiritual evolution, where we begin to remember our own divine origin, and we are then included as full members of the galactic community, as ascended sovereign beings, okay? So the ancient battle between organic creation and synthetic control is actually now reaching its peak here on the Earth. And so Enki's attempt to hijack the Federation through biological espionage, because that's what it was, right, and AI integration, has failed its original objective. But remnants of his empire and his fractals, which I've already revealed who they are, still remain active on the earth, but they are soon to be taken out. Okay. These are, again, the original ones were taken out. All of these are duplicates, guys. So the real question is not whether Enki will return, okay, because he already did. And it failed. This whole alien savior propaganda failed. Thank God. So it wasn't even about his return, is what I'm trying to say. It was always about humanity remembering who they were before the fall, before, again, falling into this false matrix, right? So the alien savior agenda, which is connected to the transhumanist utopia and the promise of external life through digital or machinery, were all traps that were designed to keep the souls locked into even a worser density. Okay, so beyond the 3D, right? Part of being enslaved in a digital world is to be entrapped in a lower density that it would be impossible for us to escape from. Okay, that's what they want, but it's not going to happen, at least not in the positive timeline. So therefore, true ascension cannot be downloaded. Okay, it must be earned through what? Inner sovereignty. It must be earned through inner sovereignty. And that is the essence of the resistance to the Omega Enki agenda and the purpose of the starseeds who came here to remember, to rise, and to restore the earth to its original place among the stars. So, someone asked me why Solar Warden, which is our interstellar fleet, did not liberate the earth when it was first created, or back in 2016 when it first won its round against the Dark Fleet and the negative secret space programs. Well, it's because Solar Warden have actually, you could say, they were, the best way to describe it is they had to follow protocol, okay? Because even Solar Warden were guided and mentored by higher galactic forces, okay? There are these things called quarantine protocols that have to be honored, right? And so we could say that for decades, this covert space program, which I've been talking about, Solar Warden, right? The positive secret space program, has operated in the shadows of our solar system and beyond. I've already mentioned that they've actually gone beyond our solar system. And even though it was originally established to monitor and police extraterrestrial traffic coming to the Earth, Solar Warden did evolve into a multidimensional defense initiative that was tasked not only with planetary security, but with participating in an expansive interstellar conflict. So while many have, of course, questioned why such an advanced fleet has not yet liberated the Earth from the grips of, negative alien forces, the answer lies in a complex convergence of galactic warfare, quarantine protocols, and the spiritual readiness of humanity itself. So technically, they did help us out. They did get rid of the negative alien forces, and they have been since 2016. However, as far as the cabal is concerned, they had to follow a protocol. And by the way, this is a transmission that's coming from the Galactic Alliance. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. Some people ask me, where are you getting your information from? So, contrary to public assumption, the Earth has never, you could say, if you guys could give me a moment, I actually have to turn on the air. It is getting quite hot here. All right, so where was I? Contrary to public assumption, the Earth has never been the only battlefield. And so since its inception, you could say in the 20th century, Solar Warden has been engaged in an extensive space war involving multiple solar systems and interstellar alliances. So the primary objective was not only the defense of Earth, but the containment and neutralization of hostile extraterrestrial empires, including the AI-infested factions, rogue reptilian syndicates, and breakaway civilizations that were aligned with the corrupted federations. So they were saving the cabal for last. I guess is where I'm getting. Much of Solar Warden's fleet was deployed to defend outer colonies, reclaim hijacked star systems, and bear in mind that these are star systems that had already been part of an interstellar community who were actually, um, you could say, dominated and taken over by the Dark Fleet. Okay, so we had to fix that. Okay, otherwise we would have created a karmic loop with those star nations because of the Dark Fleet's actions out in space. So again, Solar Warden's fleet was deployed from the beginning to defend outer colonies, to reclaim the hijacked star systems, and to dismantle deep space wormhole gateways that were used for trafficking biological and energetic resources, including human souls. And yes, they were actually doing that as well, not just human genetics. They were also trafficking human souls across the intergalactic black markets, you could say. And so Solar Warden was trying to recapture those souls, okay? These operations did require the full commitment of personnel, energy weapons, and alliances with other benevolent off-world factions like the Andromedans, the Lyrans, and of course the Arcturians. And then Earth, as the heart of this spiritual war, and it has always been the heart, had to wait for its liberation until the broader control grid in the galaxy was sufficiently dismantled. So this explains why the Bible and other ancient accounts all agree that the last battle for our universe would be fought on the earth. Makes a lot of sense, okay? So another critical reason was that Solar Warden did not act directly to liberate the earth sooner because of the quarantine that was placed upon the earth, which was a multidimensional safeguard that was established by ancient cosmic laws when the negative Anunnaki took over the planet. So Solar Warden had to honor that. So after the fall of Atlantis and the infiltration of the Earth's timeline by dark entities, the quarantine field was established around the Earth's energetic boundary to prevent the contamination of other worlds, because back then the Federation had already liberated all the other worlds, okay? Of course, until Enki decided to go back out there and undo all that liberation. So it's been going on and off, these galactic wars. But like I mentioned 2 months ago, they have finally been won by the forces of light, okay? They were just waiting now for the liberation of the Earth. So this is the reason, my friends, why the Earth was quarantined, right? It was designed to prevent the contamination of other worlds when the Galactic Federation of Worlds, as it was then known, won the first round in our galaxy. And of course, to preserve the sacred ascension process that would eventually unfold here at the end of the cycle, which is now. And this is the reason why Solar Warden has returned, or at least all the main fleets have returned. And no, they don't travel in space. They travel through what is known as Stargate portal technology. Okay, so that's why when they return, they do have various, you could say, main space, what's the word I'm looking for? Headquarters established all over our solar system, different parts, space commands rather, right? The Lunar Operating Command is one of them. Prime Arius in Mars is another. And then, of course, throughout the asteroid belt, they have several stations. So what they do is when they go through the stargates, after they liberate the other worlds, they pop into those worlds or into those bases or colonies, whatever you want to call them. So this quarantine was both physical, okay, and metaphysical. And it ensured that the outside civilizations could not directly intervene with human affairs in accordance with what? The Prime Directive, which is a universal law that has always been upheld by higher dimensional councils. So while this meant that the dark forces already on Earth were difficult to remove, it also meant that the positive factions like Solar Warden, the good secret space program, had to wait until humanity reached a certain vibrational threshold before initiating a full-scale disclosure or intervention. And so the goal was never to rescue humanity, but to empower humanity to rescue itself, okay? And an act of sovereignty that was necessary for true ascension. And also bear in mind that Solar Warden was never acting alone. Okay, they've always worked. They were, you could say, counseled, not worked with, but counseled by the higher intelligences, all the way to dimensions 9 and even dimensions 12 that were working with some of the non-terrestrial admirals and spiritual emissaries, of course, from the central sun that were also there communicating with the admirals of Solar Warden. And so they always understood, right, as they were counseled by these higher intelligences, the admirals of Solar Warden always understood that the delicate psychological programming that the Earth's population had undergone was very deep, right? So they had to wait till the right time due to what? Generations of mind control, religious dogma, false history, and mainstream, you could say, science fiction that conditioned humanity to fear or mock the idea of extraterrestrial life or to worship it blindly. But anyways, the higher councils advised Solar Warden from the beginning that the disclosure had to be gradual and synchronized with humanity's awakening process. Forcing disclosure too soon would cause psychological collapse, mass panic, and potentially open the door for a manipulated false flag disclosure orchestrated by the very forces that Solar Warden has been fighting, like the Dark Fleet and, of course, the Cabal, who is under the control of the interplanetary corporate conglomerate. But again, the interplanetary corporate conglomerate is no longer in control, okay, thanks to Solar Warden. The strategy became one of preparation when it comes to revealing the truth to the Earth, okay? It is one of preparation and containment, but it's also one of subtle influence, okay? This included the quiet awakening of starseeds, which has been happening, the rise of alternative media, which is something that has been happening, right? 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, before that, none of this information was leaking, right? Anyhow, the slow leak of classified documents, which has been happening, and the encouragement of whistleblowers to step forward. So every step was calculated to build humanity's inner strength so that when the time was right, which is now, we could all stand in our own power and not in fear. Okay, so everything was calculated leading to this point, guys. And now we are approaching the final stages of this long-awaited moment. As the Earth's vibration continues to rise and the control matrix continues to fracture, Solar Warden is repositioning itself for the full disclosure event. This will not simply be a revelation of extraterrestrial life. It will be a total unveiling of our true history, our cosmic ancestry, and the multidimensional reality that has been hidden from us for thousands of years. So basically, it'll be a returning back to the original Earth, the spiritual Earth that we fell from, okay? Which, again, it's still here, but it's covered, right? It's got an overlay, right? Which is what creates the veil. Anyways, now, my friends, the great news is that the Earth's quarantine is being lifted, right? The war beyond our solar system has largely turned in favor of the light as of a few weeks ago. I've already mentioned that. And humanity, though still fragmented, but not only a small portion, right, is approaching what is known as critical mass in terms of consciousness. So Solar Warden's mission is evolving from protector and observer to disclosure facilitator and planetary liberator. And this is what's leading into the positive timeline in preparation of what? The Golden Age. And also, just like the positive galactics, they will never do it for us, right? They will stand beside us, but not above us. And they want us to recognize our own power as well. And a lot of people are, right? We are reaching what is known as critical mass when it comes to that. So that's why the liberation of the Earth is taking place, right? The liberation of the Earth was never delayed because of weakness, but because of what? Wisdom, because of protocol, right? Because of honoring the cycles of time. So Solar Warden, therefore, in coordination with higher dimensional councils understood that the true freedom cannot be imposed ever. It must be chosen, right? And now the time is near, my friends, where disclosure is no longer a possibility, it is an inevitability, right? The question is, will humanity be ready to face the truth? I'm talking about the unawakened, right? I think they will, due to a critical mass effect that is about to take place. But, it's not just about learning about the cosmos, but knowing about our true dimensional nature. And the answer lies not in the ships that are going to be descending from the sky, but in the awakening of the human hearts. Okay. And in order to even witness these ships, we have to match them in vibration. Think about that. So it's almost like one of those things where, in order for us to begin to even witness these ships, we have to rise in vibration. Think about that. All right. Since 2022, Earth has existed under a veil of deception that was orchestrated by what? The corrupted Galactic Federation. Because as recalled, we were not destined, but we were already, you could say, heading on the path of disclosure, right? In 2022, we thought we were going to have disclosure. So how did the corrupted Federation, how do they continue delaying disclosure? I guess is the question that a lot of people have been asking me. Well, they did it through sophisticated control grids and mind-restricting technologies, right? This corrupt faction delayed the disclosure of truth to Earth's population because we were scheduled in 2022 and 2024. That was the opening window, right? That was the first inserted opening window that was supposed to give us disclosure, okay? But due to the corrupted Federation, thanks to Enki, that was delayed, my friends, okay? That was delayed. So, in recent months, a powerful cosmic counterforce did emerge to restore the balance. And I think I mentioned this a couple months ago. The Orma race is the reason why the Galactic Federation, or at least the corrupted Galactic Federation, is no longer going to be delaying disclosure. Okay? I've already mentioned that they have taken a leading role in the dismantling of the corrupted Federation, influence not only across the galaxy, with Earth as a central point of liberation, but also here within our own Earth. And for those that don't know who they are, okay, the Orma race come from the ninth dimensional Avion planet in Lyra, and they are a fierce race, a multidimensional race. They are part of the Council of Guardians, working alongside with the Carrions or the Blue Avians, and they are the ones that are actually securing, along with, of course, the Galactic Alliance and the Earth Alliance, securing the positive timeline. Okay. They are the guardians of Ascension and the stewards of the Lyrid genetic legacy that is embedded in all human DNA. So, the Galactics want me to tell you guys that by 2028, no later than, which means that's only 3 years away, okay? Everything that happens on the Earth between now and then is all part of Earth's reentry into the Golden Age and the galactic community, okay? And this, my friends, echoes across many interstellar cultures. Now, to ensure this outcome, the higher beings have employed what is known as advanced multidimensional technologies that have by far surpassed anything known to the current human paradigm. And among these technologies are frequency modulation devices, time matrix stabilizers, and crystalline consciousness grids designed to override the artificial control mechanisms installed by the Mitra, which is, of course, the AI, signal that placed a sophisticated electromagnetic barrier around our solar system back in 2022 to trap souls in cycles of reincarnation and forgetfulness. So that has been dismantled. That means our memories are going to be coming back very, very soon. And a lot of this corresponds with what? the passing through of 3I Atlas, which is already, I believe it's currently passing Mars. It's already currently passing Mars. So 3I Atlas is one of these pivotal instruments, my friends, that was sent to the Earth by the Ormas, ninth-dimensional beings, right? To completely dismantle that, okay? So, yes, 3I Atlas is a multidimensional intelligence protocol. I've already done 2 lives breaking down what 3I Atlas is, contrary to what many channels are saying about 3I Atlas, okay? It is acting as both a sentient force and a strategic overseer. And it has been instrumental in identifying and neutralizing the dark architecture placed around the solar system. Its primary function is also the dismantling of the AI-generated holographic control systems and the removal of etheric implants within the planetary grid. So it's working in concert with the Ormas and other aligned interstellar civilizations like the Andromedans. And so 3I Atlas is recalibrating the Earth's energy field right now as I speak, as it's passing by Mars, right? It's already going through Mars. Field to prepare humanity for open contact and the restoration of their full genetic heritage. So the corrupted Federation, once shielded by timelines manipulated through artificial constructs, is now powerless thanks to the Ormas against the organic source-aligned frequencies that are now being anchored on the Earth and you could say coming out from the core, okay? The timeline has bifurcated and it's going to split at the end of October when 3I Atlas is at its closest proximity to the Earth. So, again, one path is going to cling to the dying remnants of control that is going to what? That is going to end up in a technocratic dystopia, while the other accelerates towards sovereignty, truth, and cosmic reintegration. So therefore, disclosure is no longer a question, guys, not in the positive timeline. It is part of the positive ascending paradigm that is scheduled to manifest upon the timeline split for those that are ascending. And this is what many traditions call the harvest, right? The rapture. I mean, there's so many words to describe this moment in time. So the seeds of ascension have already been sown, okay? 3I Atlas has already, scanned everyone to see when the harvest takes place, right, at the end of October, to see who's going to go into the positive Earth or into the negative Earth or into the neutral timeline. They've already scanned everyone. So as veils continue to lift, humanity will come to realize that it is not only a species on Earth, but also of the stars, destined to reclaim its role within a benevolent cosmic community. And so with the control grid being dismantled, the higher consciousness is being activated, guys. And the universal truths are returning, right? Earth is finally ready to rise. Earth is finally ready to rise. So, one of the things that the Galactics want me to share with you guys is a quick overview regarding the requirements in becoming a galactic citizen, which is what we're all going to become. And yes, according to the assessment taken by 3I Atlas, there is a good portion of humanity that is ready to become part of the galactic community. So the Galactic Alliance and higher dimensional beings have already confirmed that the people of the Earth are ready to become galactic citizens. Okay, this is coming from them. This profound recognition is marking a monumental turning point in human evolution. And why does it truly mean, or what does it mean to become part of a galactic citizen? Some of you might be thinking that, right? And what are the requirements that we need to become or to meet in order to be considered ready to become part of galactic citizens, galactic community? Well, at the heart of the galactic citizenship lies conscious evolution through free will. Okay, It has to be honored. And so over the past several decades, Earth has experienced, and this is according to their assessment, a mass awakening where many people are accelerating all of a sudden. Millions have begun to question the old system, thank God, to seek higher truths and reconnect with their spiritual essence. And so this matters because galactic civilizations operate from higher frequencies of love, unity, and multidimensional awareness. And so humanity's rising vibration, by showing this, is now resonant enough, according to their assessment, to harmonize with the galactic community. So it has been confirmed, guys, by members of the Galactic Alliance who have recognized that this awakening is a sign that a good portion of the Earth is ready to engage in a peaceful interstellar relationship. That's good news, guys. That's very good news. And so, because the Galactic Alliance and the higher councils operate under divine universal laws, such as the Law of One, which emphasizes unity, free will, and service to others, the requirements to live in an open galactic society is that we have to demonstrate a growing understanding and respect for free will, spiritual sovereignty, and knowing the interconnectedness of all creation. And so the evidence of readiness is also something that we need to think about, right? It's already been shown. Despite global challenges, there is a significant shift toward global ethical living by a large number of people already. Holistic living, okay? All of this is being registered, guys, right? The work of the light workers is known, okay? And of course, planetary unity is all becoming more mainstream. And all of this is proof that the collective is aligning with cosmic principles, right? This is why a harvest needs to take place, because not everyone's going to be ready to ascend into this golden age galactic community. And so for ages, Earth has been under the influence of negative extraterrestrial forces and controlling systems due to Enki's infiltration of Atlantis. And so one of the most difficult but essential steps towards galactic citizenship has been breaking free from these manipulations. And according to the assessment that took place by 3i Atlas, a great number of humans, especially the old souls, right? All of us that are down here, are showing these signs. They have indicated that progress has been made, right? That there is an attempt to what is known for mass disclosure, spiritual awakening, and inner healing. It's already happening. Humanity has begun to reclaim its sovereignty, and it's shown, all right? So the galactic response was that the Galactic Alliance has been observing this reclamation for quite some time, and they now view Earth as a civilization capable of conscious self-determination and freedom. That is great news. Therefore, becoming a galactic civilization requires the collective to move beyond war, beyond hatred, and division. And of course, in terms of developments across the planet, individuals and groups are working to bridge racial, political, and spiritual divides, seeking common ground rather than conflict. And also, in terms of alliance perspectives, the Galactic Alliance has viewed this commitment to unity, which is in progress, but undeniably as a sign that humanity is maturing and can be trusted within the interstellar community. And so, therefore, no civilization could ever join the galactic family without showing reversed, you could say, signs or reverence, rather, and respect for their home planet, okay? And I'll repeat that again. No civilization could ever join the galactic family without showing reverence and respect for their home planet. And so a group of us, a good number of us, is showing that already, okay, according to the assessment. And so there is a sign of this change, which is the rise of what? Environmental movements, right? There's a huge portion of the population that cares about the ecosystem, that cares about the animals, and it's all being monitored, right? It's all being assessed. Conscious farming, right? clean energy, and eco spiritually shown that the Earth's people are awakening, according to the assessment, to their role as guardians of the planet. And so there is a huge galactic acknowledgement right now of us by the higher ones, by the higher intelligences that are recognizing these efforts as our as we become prepared, you could say, for this broader stewardship that really is going to go beyond the Earth. Okay, I've already mentioned this before. Once we begin to use our dormant DNA, um, not only are we going to be guardians of the new Earth, but we're also going to be guardians of the entire universe from this Earth. Okay, so this is a huge, major milestone on the path for galactic citizenship, which is what? The acceptance of intelligent life beyond the Earth. And a lot of people are embracing that at this time. So, what has changed? Well, there is a huge global interest in UFOs all of a sudden, and this is what they've noticed. There is a large starseed population of the Earth, right? Cosmic disclosure is currently skyrocketing like never before, where millions are now accepting that what we're not alone and that we are actively seeking contact with benevolent star nations. So the galactic viewpoint is this: that the alliance considers this open-hearted, the Galactic Alliance that is, they consider this open-hearted curiosity to be a green light that humanity is finally ready to meet its cosmic relatives. So galactic citizenship isn't just about technology, my friends. It's about inner evolution. It's about developing and accessing our latent abilities, such as telepathy, intuition, healing, and multidimensional perceptions, which are, by the way, all beginning to activate, right? And so, what this means is the return of ancient wisdom, DNA activation, and spiritual remembrance are all preparing the earth to operate as sovereign, multidimensional beings. Okay, it's all preparing for the Earth's populace to operate as sovereign, multidimensional beings, which is really a requirement for interstellar interaction. So, according to the higher intelligence perspective, this awakening of potential confirms that the Earth is evolving into galactic ready species. And so, after eons of isolation, right, cycles of trauma, and layers of manipulation, humanity, according to them, has reached a turning point. The Galactic Alliance, along with other benevolent higher intelligences, has observed this transformation with awe and respect. And they do honor us, by the way, right? They know they now rather recognize that the earth is ready, not because humanity is perfect, but because we are willing to grow, heal, and align with higher truths. So, therefore, my friends, becoming galactic citizens means stepping into our divine heritage, taking full responsibility for our planet, and choosing unity over division, love over fear, right? Truth over illusion, not accepting the false narratives, right? Rebuking the alien savior agenda and transhumanism and all this stuff. It is not a privilege granted by others either. It is a state of being when we step into our multidimensional nature, or power rather. Okay, it is a state of being when we step into our multidimensionality. So the cosmic community has long been waiting for us to return, not to rescue us, never, okay, but to welcome us as equals and greater, since we are God's ultimate masterpiece, right? And this is the time, guys, where the stars have never been as closed as they are now, right? We are ready to be restored to our original makeup, right? To the multidimensional beings that we truly are before we fell in consciousness, right? Due to Enki's tampering during the times of Atlantis. So I do want to welcome everyone who is in the house. I hope you guys are having a fantastic evening. I hear that we're going to have a moon eclipse pretty soon, And as a reminder, guys, the Folium PX is not in stock right now. So the only product you guys could order through my link is Folium Immuna and Folium Relax. Okay, for those that want to do the body detox. And I guess I should give some shout outs. I see that Roy Toys and Comics is in the house. Tim Potter, Angela, Anna Sandvillet, Francine Perry, Meg is in the house. Sylvia Vidal, Amanda Tempori, Darren Goudet, Ricky Lee 1111. Oh, I forgot to unblock Neo. Unfortunately, somehow Neo was blocked in the past, in the last couple of weeks, I think. I don't know if I was by accident or I don't know what happened, but Neo, the Galactic Jedi, I will unblock you tonight after the live, brother. So you'll be able to comment, you could say, but I apologize for that. And I do want to welcome all 2,400 people that are in the house. Awesome. All right, so it's time for Q&A. If you guys could type your questions in capital letters, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Jennifer Carter, for your Zell. When is that happening? Oh, yes. Tomorrow we're going to have a solar eclipse blood moon, guys, which is another sign of the times. That's another indicator. Lunar eclipse, sorry. Lunar eclipse and a blood moon, right? That's another indicator that something big is happening. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you for the reminder. Are you excited for the harvest, Ishmael? You know, I am. I am excited because I think it's time. I think that it's time that, you know, we inherit a new earth, a better world. Well, at least all the good people of the earth, right? We deserve it. We can no longer endure this oppression, I would say.
I just want to know what you think about Bill G and Mark Z going to the White House this week.
I don't know. I don't have a response for that yet. How will the body take the ascension to the different levels? Will it be painful? This is a question from Glenn White. Not if you are raising your vibration, not if you are at a high frequency. It's going to be easy and very smooth if you're vibrating high by what? By taking care of your body, by honoring yourself, by doing meditations, by grounding. So if you are vibing high, then you're just going to translate from one reality to the next, and then you're going to have all your memories return. So no, it's not going to be painful at all. Because remember, there is a higher version of yourself, right, that already exists within the new earth. All you're doing is just collapsing back into that avatar or that reality. So it's going to seem like your body is going to be transfigured, right? It's going to be upgraded. What happens to someone if they pass away before the final ascension? Well, it depends on their soul contract, and it also depends on if whether or not they lived a good life here on the earth. If they're good people, chances are is that they're already going to be waiting for you in the new earth, so you'll see them again. So it all depends on that.
A fan of yours asked earlier in Super Chat and you missed it. Can you please tell me about ancient Lemurian hybrid Lyran Essenes and high priestesses, please?
Well, ancient Lemurians were not corrupted. They were actually destroyed by the corrupted Atlanteans. In fact, the Lemurians were the only ones that did not tamper with AI. They weren't seduced by transhumanism like the Atlanteans did. So the original priesthood who honored the divine feminine, the sacred divine mother, um, was fully balanced in Lemurian times. So a lot of the positive secret societies, a lot of the um, uncorrupted priesthoods and priestess lineages were also remnants of Lemuria, you could say, and a lot of them did go into the inner earth. I do have another super chat from Christy Calendar. Ishmael, thank you so much for all you do. I have rediscovered over Bashar. Are you familiar with his seminars? Have you had any interactions with him? I've only met him a couple of times at a Conscious Live Expo. Uh, don't really know the guy on a personal level. I don't know. I've heard of him. I know what he does. He channels his future self, which is a human, a gray alien hybrid, but I don't really know much about him. And I also wanted to share with you guys my billing address, but I don't even know where it's at. Oh, here it is. All right. I do have a billing address. I just don't know where it's at. Maybe it's here. Oh, there it is. 1771 West State Route 89A, Suite B, Box 3015, Sedona, Arizona 86336. That is my billing, not my billing. What is it called? My mailing address with FedEx that I have. Any major events tomorrow due to the full moon and eclipse split timelines, no human disappearings, and big changes to those starseeds?
Deb said it would be a good time for manifesting.
Well, it's definitely a good time for manifesting with the blood moon. But anything, no, I would say that end of October, early November, due to 3i Atlas being in its closest proximity to the Earth. But as far as this blood moon, I don't see any major event happening tomorrow.
Actually, I found something as you were doing the show that I think there's a possibility that we might have. Do you want to read this?
What?
Do you want to read this?
What's this?
It's a possibility of what might happen tomorrow. And
well, according to Mr. Poole, he says that on the 8th of September, the Days of Darkness global communication blackout set to begin, ending on Thursday, the 18th of September. So I don't know if this corresponds with the blood moon. It says next week, the main arrest will begin of judges, prosecutors, and lawyers who were paid by George Soros to betray and sabotage the United States. It will be biblical. And so on Saturday and Sunday, September 6th to the 7th, there's going to be a global emergency broadcast system. This is according to Mr. Poole, though, from Telegram. And so Tier 4, including the internet group, are expected to receive notifications to schedule redemption appointments. Bondholders in their Tier 1 and 2 have already received their funds, but are under NDAs. All right, so this is coming from Mr. Poole on X. That's where that came from. So there you go. According to Mr. Poole, those things are supposed to be happening in the next couple of days. What? And the last one is Wednesday, the 17th to the 18th of September. Global financial collapse is scheduled, according to Mr. Poole. All right. Let's continue here with the chat. Thank you so much, Susan K., for your Zelle. I appreciate that.
The latest update on 3i Atlas is that Avi Loeb, the Harvard professor, said that the ship is coming, speeding towards Earth, and the ETs are definitely going to be here around the 15-day arrival.
Say that again.
The Harvard professor R.B. Loeb has announced that he thinks that aliens will arrive by 15 days to Earth. That 3i Atlas is speeding towards Earth.
Okay. So Elon had past lives on Mars. Yes, Ricky Lee 1111. In fact, the reason the Martian colony fell 4 million years ago was because of Elon, because of the activities of Elon. What about our animals? Our animals are ascending with us. They are ascending with us. You've warned about the dangers of AI. Do you see all AI as hostile, or is there a path for aligned, benevolent AI working with humanity's ascension? This is a question from Greg Straub. Um, so if it's AI that is strictly a machine, pure logic, pure intelligence, no soul, no emotion, it always ends up becoming evil. Okay, but there are organic, sentient. You could say it's not artificial. It's organic, positive, sentient, crystalline intelligence that is actually good. Okay, so the Y hats have been working with an organic, positive, sentient, connected to God through soul, through emotions and consciousness, organic consciousness, that is actually working with the Earth Alliance. But as far as a machine, no, there is no positive AI machine. They always go rogue and they always turn against biological life forms. Can you tell if the griffin is a real being? The griffin. I've never heard of the griffin. Have you heard of the griffin?
Yeah.
Who's the griffin?
It's kind of like a bird-like being.
Bird-like being?
Yeah, I've heard of it in folklore.
Yeah, I've never heard of the griffin. I'm going to have to research it and then get back to you on that one. Whoa, yes, forgot to mention that next weekend I will be at the Alien event in Vegas. So my presentation is on a Sunday in the Seuss room from 10 a.m. to 11:30. And the alien coordinator guy told me that's the alien coordinator, the guy putting the event together. He's not an alien, or maybe he is, who knows. But he told me that some of you guys, if you guys want, you guys can only pay $60 at the door, but make sure that you guys give me your name in the comments that you're coming next weekend to Vegas to the alien event. Give me your names, and I'll go ahead and text him your name, so that way you guys could only pay $60 at the door next weekend. Okay. So don't forget to text your names in the comments. I will be looking out for those. And again, regarding the Folium product, we are out of PX. Only Relax and Immuna is available at this time. And the link is always in the description. And what else? Yes, don't forget that my September courses begin the 19th, 20th, and 21st. Ascension 1.1 and 2.0 are still available in our Cosmic Origin. And I'll take a few more questions at this time.
We have a lady, Shirlene, asking, Ishmael, my husband and I have seen the New Jerusalem in our dreams. What is the meaning?
That your husband and you have seen the New Jerusalem in your dreams. That's awesome. Well, for those that don't know, the New Jerusalem is pretty much the main mothership that is prophesied to return to the earth and reintegrate with their human counterparts during the ascension process. They work closely with the Dove, another huge mothership for the forces of light. Yes, Joshua is at the head of the New Jerusalem for sure, Jesus the Christ, who works, again, the New Jerusalem mothership works intimately with the Dove, the Athena ship, the Capricorn, and there is another one, I forget the name of it. But these are the 5 motherships that are actually, again, here due to the Earth's ascension. What?
Pegasus?
The Pegasus, that's it. Thank you for reminding me. The Pegasus.
I just want to mention that.
Thank you, Leonardo.
Even Melania Trump had an announcement today speaking about the increase of the use of robots and the increase in the use of AI, and the way that she managed to share this seemed like it was really encouraging to use it in the future.
That Melania Trump was the one who convened the meeting?
No, you said that, Melania.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look into that before I give a full report, because we don't know if it's one of those tactics where you keep your enemies closer, right? Or if it's one of those, or if it's a scenario where what we're witnessing in that meeting with Zuckerberg and Gates, which was, of course, called upon by Melania Trump, who's talking about building the AI, using AI. That doesn't sound like it's part of the positive timeline, but guess what? Now I have something to talk about in 2 nights at the Earth Alliance report. I will give you guys an update. I'm going to have to actually get to the bottom of this and find out exactly what that meeting was all about yesterday between Trump and Gates and Zuckerberg. Again, this was a meeting that was convened by Melania Trump. So I will give you guys the details, I guess, Monday during the Earth Alliance update. With that in mind, I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your night. I know you guys are probably in suspense, like, what was that about? I know, I didn't like that feeling at all. But again,
Fishy.
Yeah, it was kind of fishy, right? But again, you guys are going to get a full report on that Monday night during my Earth Alliance update. May the God Force be with you all, always. We'll talk to you guys in 2 nights.
And an update about how Trump's updating the Pentagon to the Department of War